I'm Kendra Cook, your host for the DCTV Daily News program out of Dove Creek, Colorado. It's brought to you by the Dolores County Broadcasting Network with support from the Southwest Colorado TV Translator Association. That's the special district association responsible for bringing the area free to access TV stations over the air by antenna. This is a community TV station, so if there's a news story or event information that you would like to share, call us at 970-677-4119. And if you're a business or organization or an individual person, we welcome you to find out about sponsorship opportunities for banners or video segments run on the channel. Again, leave us a call at 677-4119. Today is Monday, January 11th, 2021. And now, the DCTV Daily News. As the setup of a single party, the Democratic Party, having their party and ideology solely in the majority of power seats, both federally and here in Colorado, with a governor, both senators, and 4 to 3 of the congressional representatives, and then at the state legislature, it's roughly 60-40 split in favor of Democrats as well. We are sure to see more legislation and regulations moving forward towards their agenda profile. The Colorado Sun has many great articles, and one focuses on the new potential laws as a result of the latest elections. They wrote that Democratic state lawmakers in Colorado are planning to introduce at least 3 pieces of gun control legislation this year, including a measure that would require a waiting period, potentially of 5 days, between when someone purchases a firearm and when they can access that weapon. The other 2 bills would require gun owners to safely store their weapons and to report to authorities if one of their firearms is lost or stolen. These perhaps are things that people are doing already, other than the 5-day waiting period. Quote, "This isn't going to end the crisis of gun violence in our society," said State Representative Tom Sullivan, a Centennial Democrat whose son Alex was murdered in the 2012 Aurora shooting, but it will help to curtail it, he said. That's his opinion. And while other gun control policies run by Colorado Democrats in the past decade have been focused on mass shootings, the bills this year mainly are aimed at reducing accidental shootings and suicides, the legislative sponsors say. Sullivan says that he will champion the bills enacting a mandatory waiting period and requiring that people report lost or stolen firearms. Gun control legislation used to be a politically fraught topic for Colorado Democrats. In 2012, 2 Democratic state senators were recalled and a 3rd resigned after lawmakers passed a series of gun control bills. Republicans also took over the state Senate majority in the wake of that measure. But after the 2019 passage of a so-called red flag bill that allows judges to order the temporary seizure of guns from someone who is deemed a risk to themselves or others, Republicans tried to recall several Democratic lawmakers, including Sullivan, and failed. Democrats have retained their state House majority and are emboldened to press forward with more new gun regulations. The main challenge for the sponsors of the 3 gun control bills set to be introduced this year will be convincing their fellow Democrats to vote yes on them. Of the 3 measures set to be introduced this year, the waiting period bill is likely to be the most controversial. 10 states and the District of Columbia have waiting periods that apply to purchase of guns, according to the Giffords Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence. Hawaii has the most stringent of those laws, requiring 14 days between when someone buys a gun and when they can access it. In California, the waiting period is 10 days. The plan is to push for a 5-day waiting period in Colorado, though that hasn't been finalized. Safe storage is also being considered to make it a fine for a firearm not to be in a safe or trigger lock or cable lock when the unit is stored. And if you have a firearm lost or stolen, it's suggested to be a $25 fine not to report it immediately. We will continue to follow the new legislation pushes that will be coming up in 2021. However, with the extent to the lack of confidence within our voting systems, it will be interesting to watch if people will still want to vote or feel that a vote doesn't count in rural Colorado, as was seen by the Wolf reintroduction bill being passed and voted in primarily by those in the city that it won't even affect. Lots to keep thinking about and questioning and listening to many sources as we move through this attempted global reset. And now let's take a look at our local weather for the wait. The weather this week, well, it starts off today sunny with a high near 33 degrees expected with slight north-northwest winds 5 to 10 miles an hour coming up. Tonight, mostly clear and a low, again, around 12 degrees. I think last night here it was closer to the single digits. with a slight east-northeast wind, 5 to 10 miles an hour. Into Tuesday, sunny again with a high near 35 degrees, with Tuesday night partly cloudy and a low around 18. For Wednesday, mostly sunny and a high near 41, with northeast winds at 5 to 10 miles an hour, becoming northwest in the afternoon. Into Wednesday night, partly cloudy and a low around 24 degrees, and continuing with a warm-up for Thursday, mostly sunny and a high near 44. Thursday night, mostly clear and a low around 22. For Friday, sunny again with a high near 45, and Friday night, partly cloudy and a low around 25. For Saturday, mostly sunny with a high near 43 degrees, and Saturday night, mostly clear with a low around 20. And now, back to our news. With tensions high and futures unknown for so many different reasons being shared in both mainstream and alternative news sources, there's an increase in concern over people's mental health and potential bad reactions for both the individual and society. Mental health help is being shared more prominently these days. Suicide prevention is getting the spotlight, and please reach out to our local resources if you or a friend or family member have concerns and an overall feeling of fear between an unseen virus or a potential political agenda continues to develop that people are on edge. And then there are the illegal drugs like meth that are adding to the mix of problems and violence. In the Journal, they reported a man accused of stabbing his girlfriend and breaking into his former wife's home in Cortez will face formal charges January 21st in Montezuma County Court. The suspect, Christopher Wheat, was arrested January 5th after police responded to a report of a stabbing at 338 South Harrison Street about 11 p.m. The woman who Cortez police identified as Wheat's girlfriend, Ashley Jeter, was treated for, quote, serious bodily injury because of chest stab wounds, according to a physician at Southwest Memorial Hospital. According to the Cortez Police Department, Wheat's former wife reported that she heard a commotion next door where Jeter lives. The woman said Wheat had run into her house and told her that he had just stabbed Jeter and wanted to kill himself, an incident report said. Wheat then allegedly grabbed a kitchen knife and coerced his former wife into giving him the keys to her Kia. He drove off but returned about an hour later and broke into his former wife's house, the report said. When officers arrived, Wheat grabbed his young child and held him up at his chest. He pointed a knife at officers as he retreated towards a hallway. Officers instructed Wheat's former wife to leave the premises, and according to the report, Wheat told the child that he was going to jail for a long time and that, quote, "You ain't going to see me ever again." After repeated orders to let the child go, Wheat released him to police custody. Then Wheat returned into the bathroom and closed the door. He stated to the police that he couldn't come out and that he, quote, took some bad drugs. Wheat eventually opened the door and police could see fresh blood running down his bare chest. He then asked police repeatedly to kill him before taking 2 kitchen knives and stabbing himself in the neck. Wheat then complied with police demands to sit down and drop the knives. He was placed into custody by handcuffing his hands in the front. Police and emergency medical services administered first aid to Wheat in order to stop the bleeding. Wheat continued to ask medics and officers to kill him, the police report said. He was treated at Southwest Memorial and then jailed at the Montezuma County Detention Center. The physician's report indicated that Wheat had a minor chest stab wound. He was booked on suspicion of first-degree assault with a deadly weapon, domestic violence, criminal attempt, second-degree homicide, aggravated motor vehicle theft, and child abuse. He will appear in Montezuma Court again on January 21st to hear formal charges against him. According to Cortez Police, Lieutenant Andy Brock, Wheat was originally from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And so should we be concerned that a post-apocalyptic video game was set in Colorado? Reported in Reason.com with a photo of Wasteland 3 in Exile Entertainment. It's a telling sign when a video game opens with a warning that the events it depicts might be a little too close to life. That's what happens in Wasteland 3, a squad-based tactical role-playing game whose bleakly funny take on post-apocalyptic politics acts as a satire of 2020 America, just last year. The game puts you in control of a group of guns for hire scouring the snowy peaks of Colorado after America has gone to hell. The territory is controlled by a ruthless warlord known as the Patriarch, who puts people in stocks, enforces poverty on the helpless masses, and runs his fiefdom for the benefit of himself and a group of elite families. He too has a family, a trio of offspring you're expected to track down and deal with. Exactly how is up to you, and the choices you make about who to ally with will prove consequential, altering not only the game's ending, but much of the action along the way. That action manages to be both surprisingly politically sharp-edged and also kind of goofy, as when you encounter a faction called the Gippers, a cult that worships a Reagan artificial intelligence, which you're expected to help give human form. Don't worry, any relationship to real life is purely coincidental. The game starts with a proviso from the game makers that it's merely, quote, a work of fiction, ideas and dialogue, and that stories we created earlier in development have in some cases been mirrored by our current reality. Like so much real-life politics, it's just a game. And today's High Canyon Country happenings and notices. So Dolores County is in a stage orange code with 53 cases since last February or March, all recovered, and 1 active case in the county. Many have had little to no symptoms, and some have had quite serious illnesses that are very much like a bad influenza virus. The health and county executives meet on Mondays to discuss and assess the state code level with the emergency manager, which has impacts on our local businesses as well as the general public and work sites. And the outbreak levels are addressed on Wednesdays now that we are out of the holiday season. DCTV brings the most recent graphics we can find updated on the channel as well as on Facebook to keep you up to date. And The Rock, reaching out to community and kids, is hosting a drive-through food distribution monthly through March. In January, it will be next Monday, January 18th at 4 p.m. at the Rock Building. And a reminder, if you need food supplies throughout the month, the Dove Creek Care and Share offers opportunities to pick up food at the basement of the VFW Mondays through Fridays from 12 noon to 2 p.m. To catch our program online, visit our Facebook page, which is DCTV Daily News, or also online on YouTube. Both you can follow or subscribe to easily and join in on the conversation until they censor us, I suppose. Again, this is your local community TV station, so if you have something to say or share, contact us with the email dcbnnews@gmail.com or call us at 970-677-4119. And thank you for tuning in to DCTV Daily News. If you like the program, please do like and follow us on Facebook and share it with your friends and family. This has been a production of DCTV for the DCTV Daily News program out of Dove Creek, Colorado, USA. I'm Kendra Cook. Be well and keep thinking for yourself.